Hi everyone, welcome back to Falcon's House. This is the Westworld recap series. Please like and subscribe. Today we are covering Season 2, Episode 7, Les Escorches. This week, everything started coming together, major characters started running into each other. Spoilers ahead. The episode opens with Stubbs asking for Bernard's help as Bernard was sleeping with a picture of his son. Stubbs says that they both know that Delos only cares about recovering whatever is in Abernathy's head and not rescuing people. They are then approached by the head Delos recovery team guy and told that they found Teresa's DNA and that they think Bernard or Stubbs had something to do with it. That one of them was selling secrets to the highest bidder, and then they are taken to the secret facility that Ford had, and there's the disassembled dog there that William shot previously. The guy says that he doesn't think Bernard has the personality to be able to kill Teresa, and starts zeroing in on Stubbs. Stubbs says that he had never been in that place before, so it wasn't possible. Right before he does anything, they find a hidden room, and Hale goes back into it, followed by everybody else, and they come across a room full of Bernard hosts. Now Charlotte knows that he's a host and holds him at gunpoint. I think Bernard is going to find a way to escape. He seems too important to just be killed off right here, especially since Ford has this big plan for him, it seems like, at all times. After the intro, they are virtually waterboarding Bernard to see what information he has and where Dolores took Abernathy's control unit. She tells him to access his memories. We cut to a 1 week ago time frame, and Hale and the other older Delos security guy are trying to figure out the best way to get information out of Abernathy. Right when the train explosion happens and they start needing to defend the mesa, they split up into 6 teams, and they have vests that buzz when there's a host near, which will help them kill the host more effectively. And then one of the first team goes down to where the train is, and they're able to kill a few hosts before they come across a pile of bodies, which they then determine was a security team, and then they're ambushed, and most of them are killed by Dolores. Hale has a tech plug into Abernathy and start downloading his data, and they say it'll take a while because of the amount of data that is on there. Some of the hosts start heading towards the cradle, and so they're worried about that, and so they send another team to try to intercept them. Bernard is still attached to the cradle, and he is talking to Ford, who we find out has had his consciousness inserted into the cradle by Bernard, and says that Delos has bigger plans than just James Delos being having a body they wanted to be able to do for anybody. I don't know if it's for them to sell this feature to other people so they can live forever, or if it's some more bigger plan where they're going to start replacing people against their will, but that they have control over it so they can control the world. Ford makes some references to God creating man and wanting to admire what he created instead of resting, and I think Ford sees himself as a god for creating these hosts. Even in a way, it mostly was Arnold that did all that. He also prompts Bernard on what the park is really for, and that Bernard says that the hosts are controls, and that's why they never change their storylines, or they're only slightly tweaked, and that the guests are what they're really looking for. They use the data to test interactions between different people and see how they do things to find out how their inner workings are. The humans want to become hosts so that they can live forever. Ford says that the Delos tech doesn't work unless directly in the cradle, or he'd start to decompose or go crazy like James Delos. But as long as he's just in the cradle, he can continue to exist. He says they only know how to copy a mind, not actually do anything with it. The man in black is riding, trying to escape from Ghost Nation, and Maeve and her daughter enter a town, also trying to escape from Ghost Nation, and they hide in a house. The man in black reaches the same town and enters the house where they are hiding. He remembers that he killed her in a previous time he was there, and talks to her as if Ford is trying to alter his course, that Ghost Nation was there just to chase him into this town to recreate this scene with them. She acts like she doesn't know what he's talking about, because she doesn't. Not everybody in the world is acting on behalf of Ford like he seems to think. Like it seems just a few game masters and everybody else is just doing their own thing. So she shoots him and he escapes outside. And I think he's starting to lose it little bit because he's not sure how he can trust people or what to do or when he's going to get shot or whatever. So he runs around to the other side of the house and try to watch for her. Maeve then mind commands two of Lawrence's cousins to shoot the man in black. He kills each of them, but takes a bullet wound each time. He is now injured, and she comes out and points a gun at him. Lawrence defends him and points a gun at her, but she talks him out of protecting the man in black because of all the past things that he's done to him, and Lawrence starts to remember. She tried to mind control him, but it didn't seem to work because I guess Lawrence is awake, and that takes away her ability to control people. The more they're aware, the stronger their mind is. I guess it's like Jedi mind tricks. They can't do anything that against a stronger mind. He then turns and shoots the man in black in the chest right before Sizemore and Park Security show up and shoot Maeve a few times. Sizemore prevents them from killing her, but she takes 4 or 5 bullet wounds in the chest. Her daughter is taken by Ghost Nation and escapes, and I still think Ghost Nation is working with Ford to save the park, and the man in black is alive but heavily injured and isn't able to call for help and is just hiding behind a barrel. I don't think either of these characters are going to die, but they might have reduced roles for a little while. Hale and the tech are having a hard time downloading Abernathy since the data packets are too big. Bernard and Ford reach the house that Arnold built for his family, and Ford says he created it in the park first before he created it in the real world. Ford tells Bernard about how he was created and how Dolores helped create him as a test because she knew him best, and they were doing tests to see how well he could mimic Arnold's personality. He said he isn't just the same copy of the consciousness, he is a normal host versus what, say, the Delos team was trying to create. He tells him he's an original creation, but that he doesn't have what he needs to survive, and that he's going to need some help. Ford then copies his consciousness into Bernard so that he can guide Bernard. Elsie asks Bernard what happened, but he doesn't remember why he was in there, probably because Ford is in his head and is kind of controlling him now. And one of the tech ladies in the control room says the system debugged itself, probably because Ford is not in the system anymore. They're making it really obvious now. Stubbs tells Hale that they need to evacuate because Dolores is almost there. Hale tells Stubbs that Abernathy is a failsafe of a failsafe after he threatens to kill Abernathy to get the information that he wants. And Abernathy is storing a decryption key for some data. Probably all the host data and all the DNA data, or potentially just James Delos' data. I don't know at this point, but it's something big, and he holds an encryption key for that data pack. Dolores and Teddy show up, and Hale tries to get in Dolores' head by saying that the world will want to celebrate the hosts for what they've accomplished, but Dolores just seems intent on trying to kill her. Dolores wants to know how to get the key out of Abernathy, and Hale says she won't know what to do with it if she gets it. Bernard stops and looks at the glass and sees a Ford reflection instead of his own. He then tells Elsie that they need to reach the valley beyond before Dolores does to do something. And Elsie says, well, they need more firepower in order to do that. Clementine and Angela are fighting some Della security, killing many of them before Clementine is shot multiple times and goes down. Angela is able to escape to the cradle with only a gunshot wound to the body. Dolores tells Hale that humans made her in their image, but now that they want to be her. Hale says that they control the backups, and Dolores says the backups are what keeps them from being free, that they can just get reloaded over and over again to relive the same horrors. Angela reaches the cradle, and the only one Della security guard reaches her. He is attracted to her, and she explains how her skill set is to manipulate people and gets close, how she is not quite perfect, but pretty enough and smart enough and enough to be charming, effectively. And then she gets close enough to be able to pull a pin on one of his grenades, destroying both of them and the cradle. I think this is a little bit out of character for this guy. Like, previously he was just running around killing hosts, and all of a sudden he finds the one that he finds attractive and he's not going to go ahead and just kill her outright. It just seems a little bit weird, but I guess it was necessary for the storyline. Dolores goes to attack Hale with the bone saw, and is stopped when Abernathy recognizes her and starts talking to her about the past. Dolores sends Teddy off to fight Della's security as they are starting to get close again. He kills a bunch of the security before getting tackled by the head guy. They then have a fist fight, and then Teddy beats him to death. Abernathy says that he is sorry to Dolores and that he tries to raise her as best that he could, and that he is who he is because of her being a father, which is the same way Maeve feels about being a mother. They say that they love each other, and Dolores then turns on the saw, and we assume that she cuts out his control unit. The attack on the control room starts as Sizemore and injured Maeve reach the mesa. The guards then go to fight. Bernard is listening to Ford telling him about the great library burning and then becoming the story itself. How even if all these stories get destroyed that they've created here, it'll be a new story that they're creating as they go along. Fighting goes on all around them, and Ford tells Bernard that it is his story now, that he can control what happens, not Ford. So Bernard turns off all the safety systems so Dolores can have free reign. With the whole system shut down, they won't be able to track her, and she can do whatever she needs to do. She seems to be, I think she's still in control from Ford, or was in control by Ford, that he pushed her to be Wyatt in order to do this. She doesn't really have free will. She's awake, but that's different than somebody like Maeve, who's able to completely go off script and do whatever she wants. Dolores finds Maeve down in the hangar bay and says that the woman she knew wouldn't have gotten hurt, but Maeve says that she had a daughter to protect, and that's why she did what she did. Dolores offers her a mercy killing, but Maeve says no, and Dolores says that it's her right to choose, that it's her free will, so she doesn't kill her. I think there's going to still be a showdown between these two at some point. It might not even be this season at this point, because Maeve's still going to have to get healed, And we don't know where Felix is, so he could probably come and heal her up, and then they'd be fine. But for now, we don't know, and they might not clash over the next 3 episodes. Maeve tells Dolores that she is lost in the dark. Dolores rides off back into Westworld. Bernard gets captured by Delos, and Ford tells him to pick up the gun from a different guard that was already killed. Bernard resists for a time, but Ford says that he can ease his conscience and that he has a delicate constitution. Ford then takes over and kills the guards as Ford, effectively, not Bernard. And there is some great cinematography in the scene where it cuts really fast between Bernard and Ford's faces. Bernard has memories of an old host Dolores, his son Charlie, Ford telling him that one day they'll maybe be able to resurrect the dead, and that in order to escape you will need to suffer. Then to memories of drowned hosts, and then being found by Delos, then killing Teresa. Hale tells him to separate his real memories from the ones that he was given. She then gets him to tell her where Abernathy's control unit is, Sector 16, Zone 4. They then tell him that they are going for a ride, and this is how the episode ends. A lot of paths cross in this episode. Hale and Dolores, the Man in Black and Maeve, Maeve and Dolores. We didn't get the Maeve-Dolores showdown, but it's still very possible. I feel like they've made Maeve stupider than with her emotions than she should be. Anything regarding her daughter, and she isn't as intelligent as somebody with a max intelligence setting should be. She just doesn't seem to think ahead there. Like, she didn't seem to think that there was going to be another mother, and she didn't seem to think that she'd have to protect her, or that somebody else could be driving up. Like, those other people driving up and shooting her in the back shouldn't have happened. She should have been aware that they would possibly come, and she wasted too much time on the Man in Black and didn't really take enough cover. There are still 3 episodes left in this season, and if they follow normal TV rules, in 2 weeks, episode 9 will reveal a ton of stuff. And maybe next week's too, since episode 8 was when the Man in Black / William reveal last season. Thanks for watching.